My dear chosen one, there comes a moment in your life when you realize that the weight of rejection and the years of being overlooked were never signs of weakness, but proof that God was hiding you until the appointed time. You have walked in silence, you have endured invisibility, and you have been forced to watch others celebrated while you remained unknown. Yet deep inside, your spirit always knew there was a greater calling, a light too powerful to be buried forever. This is why you are here now, listening to these words, because the very systems that once dismissed you will one day have to acknowledge you. Kings and presidents, the very symbols of earthly authority, will bow to the light inside you, not because of who you are in the eyes of men, but because of who is within you. God is making you undeniable, and no force of darkness, no structure of power can stop what is coming. You see, chosen one, the paradox of your life has always been this.
爱在哪？
The paradox of your life has always been this. You were born to carry a crown that does not belong to this world, yet you were forced to live as though you had none. You were placed in rooms where your voice was ignored, where your presence was undervalued, and yet you carried the weight of eternity within your spirit. This tension has always been your struggle, to know you are called to greatness while walking through seasons of obscurity. But the mystery hidden within your story is that obscurity was never punishment. It was divine protection. God was shaping your character, testing your endurance, and refining your heart so that when your moment comes, your light will not just be seen, it will be undeniable, unshakable, and unforgettable. Even the highest authorities, those who believe themselves untouchable, will not be able to look away. So before we go deeper into this message, I want you to pause and declare something prophetic over your own life. If you are ready to step into the season where God makes you undeniable, type the word undeniable in the comments right now. Let it be a public declaration, not just to others, but to the universe itself, that you are claiming the promise spoken over you. And while you are here, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because every word you receive here is designed to strengthen your spirit and align you with your divine assignment. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear will not only explain your past, but it will prepare you for the moment when the world, even those in positions of power, will have no choice but to honor the light you carry. Chosen one, let me take you deeper into the truth of this season. The light that God has placed inside of you is not the kind of light that can be turned on and off like a switch. It is eternal, it is divine, and it was planted in you before the foundations of the world. That light does not answer to men, it does not bow to systems, and it does not fade when others reject you. Instead, it waits patiently, glowing silently in the background until the moment comes when God Himself decides to uncover it. And when He does, even the ones who have the power to crown or to crucify will have no choice but to recognize it. This is what it means to be undeniable. Your light carries an authority beyond human permission. For years, you may have felt as though your worth depended on the recognition of others. Maybe you looked around and thought, why is everyone else being seen while I am hidden? You saw people with less depth, less truth, and less calling standing on stages, receiving applause, while you remained unseen. That silence, that invisibility, was painful. It felt like rejection. But here is the hidden mystery. Rejection was never the end of your story. It was the womb of your transformation. God has been crafting you in secret, and the very invisibility that once made you doubt yourself is the soil where your undeniable light grew roots that cannot be shaken. Think of Joseph, chosen one. In the book of Genesis, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison. For years, no one saw him for who he truly was. He was forgotten in places that seemed beneath his calling. And yet, in a single moment, God brought him before Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, and his light could no longer be ignored. Pharaoh himself had to bow to the wisdom of Joseph, because what was inside of Joseph was greater than the throne of Pharaoh. The same principle is working in your life. One day, kings and presidents will see that what you carry does not come from education, status, or influence, but from the eternal presence of God that rests on you. There is another struggle you know too well: living with the awareness that you are called to greatness while being trapped in spaces that feel too small. It is like carrying the fire of the sun in a clay jar. People around you do not understand it. They see you as ordinary, while inside you feel a weight that cannot be explained. This is why you sometimes feel out of place, misunderstood, or misjudged. It is not arrogance. It is destiny pressing against the limitations of your current season. That pressing is not meant to break you, but to prepare you. The tension you feel is proof that your assignment cannot stay hidden forever. The enemy, of course, has tried to exploit this tension. He whispers lies into your mind, making you believe that your obscurity means you are forgotten. He tempts you to think that silence equals failure, that being unseen means you are unworthy. But let me remind you, the enemy only fights what he fears. If he has tried so hard to keep you buried, it is because he knows that once your light shines, it cannot be put out. The devil fears the day when rulers, governments, and systems will be forced to acknowledge the power you carry, because that day is a sign that his influence is collapsing. Understand this clearly. Chosen one, your preparation has always been more important than your presentation. Anyone can be put on a stage, but not everyone can carry the weight of spiritual authority. God has been training you in private battles, shaping you through tears, through rejection, through tests no one else saw. Why? Because when your moment comes, you will not just shine briefly. You will stand as a light that cannot be denied. Without that preparation, the light would flicker and fade. But because of it, your light will last. And those who hold positions of power will have to acknowledge what God Himself has placed on you. So let me leave you with this thought. If kings and presidents will bow, then something much larger is unfolding behind the scenes. This is not about ego, and it is not about worldly recognition. It is about divine order being established in the earth. When the highest positions bend to the presence of God in you, it is a sign that the invisible realm is breaking through into the visible. And when that convergence happens, no law, no government, no human system will be able to deny it. The stage is being set, and your life is a part of it. Chosen one, you have probably noticed how earthly authorities often laugh at the things of the Spirit. They believe their titles and their influence give them absolute.
中老年学习钢琴呢，本质上是没有捷径的。那些喜欢走捷径的人呢？
And their influence give them absolute control, as if they can bend reality to their will. But what they do not understand is that their power is temporary, fragile, and dependent on human systems that can crumble in a single day. They set themselves up as untouchable, but no king, no president, no ruler is beyond the reach of God. This is why the spirit inside of you is so threatening. Because when it rises, it reveals how powerless human crowns truly are. And yet, you know the sting of being treated as if you were nothing. There have been moments when people in positions of influence looked at you with dismissal, as if your presence meant little. They spoke over you. They silenced your voice. They pushed you aside because in their eyes you did not carry the status that matters in this world. That rejection hurt. It made you question whether your calling was real, whether you had imagined the greatness you always felt in your soul. But let me remind you that pain was not the end of the story. It was the soil of your authority. What they dismissed in you is the very thing God will use to confront them. Think of the story of Moses when he stood before Pharaoh in the book of Exodo, capítulo 5, versículo 1. Moses was a man who once ran from Egypt, a fugitive who had no power in the eyes of Pharaoh. Yet God raised him up to walk into the palace of the most powerful man on earth and declare, "Let my people go." Pharaoh laughed, resisted, and hardened his heart. But in the end, Pharaoh had no choice but to bow to the authority of God that Moses carried. Chosen one, do you see the pattern? The same God who made Pharaoh tremble is the God who walks with you. That same spirit of resistance that Pharaoh carried still operates today. It hides in governments, corporations, and systems that believe they cannot be shaken. It manifests in people who use their influence to oppress and silence others. And every time you step into your purpose, you can feel that resistance pushing back against you. It is not just people being difficult. It is spiritual warfare. It is the clash between temporary power and eternal authority. And though the resistance feels heavy, it is actually confirmation that you carry something they cannot control. This is why you have felt a war inside your own soul. On one hand, you know you carry a voice meant to confront false powers. On the other hand, fear whispers, "What if I am not enough? What if I am imagining this? What if they crush me before I can even rise?" That inner conflict is not weakness. It is the battlefield of your destiny. The doubt itself is proof of the greatness you are carrying. For why would the enemy bother planting fear in someone who poses no threat? He fights you because he knows the moment you fully believe who you are, no system on earth will be able to stand against you. Chosen one, you must realize that God has already written the outcome of this battle. The conflict you feel is not to break you, but to sharpen you. Every rejection, every delay, every resistance is being woven into a testimony that will one day silence every critic. When the time comes, those who doubted you will see what they could not deny, that your authority was not your own, but the manifestation of God's eternal power. And when they see it, even the highest seats of influence will tremble before the light you carry. So stay alert, for the tension you feel now is not the end. It is the sign that a shift is coming. The world around you may still treat you as if you are invisible, but that invisibility is temporary. The same systems that resisted you will soon be forced to recognize you, not because you demanded it, but because God Himself has decided that your season of being hidden is over. The trembling of rulers, the bowing of presidents, will not be a matter of opinion. It will be the undeniable evidence of God breaking through the structures of this world through your life. Chosen one, here is the turning point. God is not elevating you through human strategies or worldly systems. He is making you undeniable by the light that burns within you, a light that was placed in your spirit before you even took your first breath. This is not a light that you built by talent, networking, or effort. It is a divine flame that no man gave and no man can extinguish. And because it is of God, it is unstoppable. This is why the world has to bend, even the most powerful among us. They cannot argue against it, they cannot ignore it, and they cannot compete with it, because it is not human in origin, it is divine in nature. This light, chosen one, is untouchable because it is sustained not by your strength, but by God's presence. You may feel tired, you may feel overlooked, but the presence that fuels you never grows weary and never diminishes. That is why doors will open before you that no man can shut. That is why even the kings of this world will find themselves silenced when confronted with what you carry. They may resist, they may try to diminish you, but the light cannot be covered forever. Eventually, it breaks through every attempt to bury it, shining with such clarity that denial is no longer possible. Remember Daniel, a man exiled in Babylon, stripped of his homeland, reduced to a servant in the palace of a foreign king. By human standards, Daniel was powerless. Yet when he prayed, when he carried the wisdom of God, kings and empires had to listen. Nebuchadnezzar, Darius, Cyrus, rulers of empires, all had to bow to the authority flowing through Daniel. They issued decrees honoring the God of Daniel, because his light was undeniable. Chosen one, this is not just a story of the past. This is the blueprint of your future. God is placing you in spaces where no one expects you to rise, and when you speak, rulers will have to bow. The revelation you must hold is this: they will not bow to you because of your name, your status, or your appearance. They will bow to the one who lives inside you. The Spirit of God will shine so brightly through your words, your presence, your very being, that even those hardened by power will be unable to deny him. This is the deeper mystery. You are not rising to be worshipped. You are rising as a vessel through which God's glory becomes impossible to ignore. And when that glory is revealed, the most powerful in the world will tremble. Even those who resist the longest, who mock and scoff, will one day have to admit the truth. They will have to confess that what they dismissed in you was never ordinary. They will see that it was God's fingerprint all along. And this is why the enemy has tried so hard to keep you hidden. Because once you are revealed, the truth will confront every false power. They will bow, not in flattery, but because the evidence will be too overwhelming to dismiss. This is what God meant when he promised to make your enemies your footstool. It is the unavoidable recognition of divine authority. Chosen one, you must realize that your life is part of something far bigger than yourself. You are not just rising for your own victory, but for a convergence between heaven and earth. Your story is a living prophecy that reveals the kingdom of God breaking into the systems of men. That is why your path has been so heavy, so opposed, so misunderstood. Because when your moment comes, it is not just you being elevated. It is heaven itself being revealed through your life. And that revelation will cause even the thrones of this world to bow. This is the shift you have been waiting for. The invisible is about to become visible. What you have felt privately in your spirit will soon be undeniable publicly in your life. The prayers you whispered in secret, the tears you shed when no one was watching, are now turning into a testimony that the world cannot deny. You are about to see kings and presidents confronted with the reality of God's presence in you, not because you demanded it, not because you sought it, but because God himself has decided the time has come. And when God says it is time, no.
请问吃什么能治疗皮肤瘙痒呢？
皮肤瘙痒不用治，治好的都是误诊。今天我教你一个。
Decided the time has come. And when God says it is time, no force in heaven or earth can stop it. Chosen one, reflect for a moment on the nature of earthly power. It rises and falls like empires in history. One day it seems unshakable. The next, it collapses under its own weight. Yet the light inside of you is eternal, untouched by the rise and fall of governments. This is why God trained you to anchor your identity not in positions, not in applause, not in fleeting crowns, but in His Spirit. Because when your moment arrives, you will not be shaken by the glory of recognition, nor broken by the weight of responsibility. You will stand firm because your foundation is not made of human approval, but of divine truth. That is why the crowns of this world will eventually bow before you. Not because you sought them, but because their authority pales in comparison to the eternal authority that radiates from within you. The image is powerful. A human crown, polished with gold and decorated with jewels, being set down in humility before a crown no eye can see. That invisible crown is the one God placed on your spirit before you were born. A crown of purpose, endurance, and unbreakable truth. And while the world may chase what shines outwardly, they will soon realize that what is unseen carries far greater weight. Chosen one, this is your reality. You carry an inheritance that the world did not give and cannot take away. That is why kings and presidents will bow. Because deep within, even they know that human thrones cannot stand against the throne of the Almighty. Your life will embody that truth, and it will be undeniable. Here lies the universal lesson, one that touches every awakened soul. The world may measure worth in status, but true authority comes from alignment with the eternal. Every person who carries truth will one day face resistance, but the outcome has already been written. Light always prevails over darkness, and truth always rises above lies. For you, chosen one, this is not just philosophy. It is lived reality. You are walking proof that the invisible shapes the visible. The struggles you faced were never signs of defeat. They were proof that eternity was shaping you for a moment when your presence itself would become prophetic. And when that moment comes, the world will learn the same lesson. Divine authority cannot be denied. But notice something deeper. Character is the vessel through which light shines. Without humility, light becomes arrogance. Without integrity, light becomes hypocrisy. This is why God allowed you to walk through fire, through rejection, through the tearing away of illusions. Every painful season was chiseling your soul, making sure your light would not be distorted when it finally shined before the world. Chosen one, understand this. You were not delayed. You were refined. The strength you carry now, the patience, the wisdom, are not accidents. They are the very reasons why your light will last when others fade. This is why God is entrusting you with visibility, because your roots run deep enough to carry the weight of it. And here is the mystery of your assignment. You are a bridge between two realms. You were never meant to fit fully into this world, nor were you called to abandon it completely. Your mission has always been to draw the invisible into the visible, to make heaven tangible in the midst of earth. That is why you often feel stretched, pulled between two realities. One foot in the spiritual, one foot in the physical, one hand reaching for eternity, the other working in the dust of this world. That tension is your calling. It is what makes you different, what makes your light shine uniquely. And when people finally see it, they will know they are in the presence of something far greater than human ability. The truth, chosen one, is that your life is not just about you, it is about a collective awakening. Every time you rise, every time your light shines, it awakens something in others. They begin to question their own illusions, to wonder what truth they have ignored. This is why your influence is dangerous to the enemy. It is contagious. Once your light is undeniable, it will inspire others to embrace their own. It will create a ripple effect that shakes entire communities, nations, even generations. And this is why kings and presidents will bow, not only to you, but to the movement of truth your life represents. And now, let me plant a question in your heart. What if what you are carrying is not just about your own journey, but about the beginning of a greater movement? What if your rise is a prophetic sign of a larger convergence, where heaven begins to rewrite the systems of earth through those who carry its light? What if you are not just being elevated for your sake, but as a signal to the world that the kingdom of God is breaking in? That thought alone should send shivers through your spirit. Because if this is true, then your life is about to become part of something so much bigger than you could ever imagine. And when that happens, the highest thrones of men will have no choice but to acknowledge it. Chosen one, let us return to the pain you once carried, the moments when you thought all was lost, the betrayals that cut so deep, the seasons of being overlooked, the silent tears no one saw. All of it left scars in your heart. You asked God why He allowed you to walk through such valleys. You wondered if those wounds meant you were disqualified, broken beyond repair. But now the truth is being revealed. None of it was wasted. Every humiliation, every rejection, every delay was a tool in the hands of the potter, shaping you into a vessel that could carry eternal glory. Those scars that once felt like shame are now the marks of your authority. They are not signs of defeat. They are the evidence that you survived what was meant to destroy you. And here is the beauty of restoration. God never allows pain without purpose. Every season of loss is redeemed by a season of revelation. What once brought you to your knees in despair will soon bring others to their knees in awe of God's faithfulness in your life. Chosen one, what once silenced you will become your testimony. What once diminished you will become your platform. What once tried to bury you will become the soil of your rising. The very people who counted you out will have to admit that they misjudged you. They will see clearly that the hand of God was on you the whole time. Restoration is not just about giving you back what was taken. It is about raising you higher than you ever imagined, so that the glory belongs to God alone. And this is where your story becomes a beacon for others, because your restoration is not only for you, it is for those still walking through darkness, for those who have not yet seen the light of their own destiny. Your rising is proof to them that God does not abandon His chosen. Your breakthrough is the signal that theirs is coming too. And so your life becomes more than personal victory. It becomes a testimony that breaks chains in others. Chosen one, you are being positioned not just as a survivor, but as a sign of hope. Your scars, your resilience, your undeniable light will remind a generation that no matter how deep the pit, God can lift anyone into the palace. And when that happens, kings and presidents will bow not only to your light, but to the truth it awakens in the world around you. Chosen one, let me remind you of the essence of this message. Even the highest seats of power in this world will one day bow before the eternal light you carry. This does not mean you are rising to dominate others, but rather to reveal a greater kingdom that cannot be shaken.
伦敦咖啡，记住这个颜色，染完特别的显质感、显高级、显白的一款发色。
A greater kingdom that cannot be shaken. The world will look at you and realize that the crowns they trusted are fragile compared to the crown of purpose God placed upon you. This is not about pride, but about alignment. It is about being so rooted in God that the weight of His presence overflows through you, until even rulers must admit there is something greater at work. And that acknowledgement will not be shallow. It will be undeniable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Chosen one, you were never called to play by the rules of this world's recognition. You were called to carry something so holy, so unshakable, that even thrones tremble in your presence. Your value isn't defined by applause or attention, but by the transformation your spirit provokes when others encounter your light. You don't just speak, you shift atmospheres. You don't just endure, you radiate a wisdom and resilience that reveals heaven on. My dear chosen one, there comes a moment in your life when you realize that the weight of rejection and the years of being overlooked were never signs of weakness, but proof that God was hiding you until the appointed time. You have walked in silence, you have endured invisibility, and you have been forced to watch others celebrated while you remained unknown. Yet deep inside, your spirit always knew there was a greater calling, a light too powerful to be buried forever. This is why you are here now, listening to these words, because the very systems that once dismissed you will one day have to acknowledge you. Kings and presidents, the very symbols of earthly authority, will bow to the light inside you, not because of who you are in the eyes of men, but because of who is within you. God is making you undeniable, and no force of darkness, no structure of power can stop what is coming. You see, chosen one, the paradox of your life has always been this.
爱在哪？
The paradox of your life has always been this. You were born to carry a crown that does not belong to this world, yet you were forced to live as though you had none. You were placed in rooms where your voice was ignored, where your presence was undervalued, and yet you carried the weight of eternity within your spirit. This tension has always been your struggle, to know you are called to greatness while walking through seasons of obscurity. But the mystery hidden within your story is that obscurity was never punishment. It was divine protection. God was shaping your character, testing your endurance, and refining your heart so that when your moment comes, your light will not just be seen, it will be undeniable, unshakable, and unforgettable. Even the highest authorities, those who believe themselves untouchable, will not be able to look away. So before we go deeper into this message, I want you to pause and declare something prophetic over your own life. If you are ready to step into the season where God makes you undeniable, type the word undeniable in the comments right now. Let it be a public declaration, not just to others, but to the universe itself, that you are claiming the promise spoken over you. And while you are here, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because every word you receive here is designed to strengthen your spirit and align you with your divine assignment. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear